you snuck in season 5.
I did sneak in.
Which for me, season 5 was my favorite season of Sopranos. I love season 5. And as mentioned, you play Garry LaManna, Finch's nephew. The one question that I always, wondered in my head, when I saw the scene, because you're hanging from a tree, you're trimming the tree. Was that really you up in the tree, or was that a stunt double?
Yeah, that was scary. That was me. And I can go. We'll talk. I'll tell you a little bit about that story. So I was in New York showing a film that I won an award for at the Metropolitan Opera called The Street Sweeper. And there was not a lot of auditions for me with the Sopranos. I knew about the show because Michael Cavalieri and I did a movie, and he got the part when we were doing this other movie, Last Man Standing, with Christopher Walken. So I was trying to get in, but there was never anything coming out in LA. So when I went to New York, I knew somebody said, listen, I'll get you in. And I went in and I met Georgianne Walken, who was Chris Walken's wife. And I'm like, she goes, you're in Last Man Standing? I said, yes. Oh my God. Anyway, so I auditioned, and then she said, can you come back at 3:00? I said, sure. So I went back and I met David Chase and He was really nice to me. And I remember I said, I'm going to stay in New York for a few extra days. I think I might have got this part, but I didn't want to call. But I kind of felt, like sometimes you feel like you got a shot.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I got this. So I was in Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, which is a really big Italian area. And I got the call, and you got the part, blah, blah, blah. So it originally was supposed to be 3 episodes. So I flew back to LA, and then they said to me, you got to come back and we got to do a rehearsal. We got to do like tech rehearsals. I'm like, why? I mean, tech rehearsal for, I'm going to be doing stuff in the yard. I mean, what are my tech rehearsals? So I didn't know. So I remember they picked me up in Manhattan, and there was a stunt guy in the truck, in the van, and they were taking me to the location. So he was a really nice guy. We actually became very, very good friends. Jay, very great guy. And we're talking. He goes, oh, yeah, this is going to be a big scene. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, we're going to do a stunt. I said, but why? He goes, no, I'll show you when we get to the set. Okay. Pull up in Newark. We pull up in front of the house. And I start to walk to the backyard. And they stop. Michael, stop. And they turn around and they point to this tree. And it's like 40 feet up. I'm like, he goes, no, you're going to be up there. I go, what are you talking about, be up there? I'm afraid of heights there. I mean, I had the same thing in Karate Kid. I'm panicked of heights. He goes, no, we got to go up there. I'm like, so now I'm thinking, how am I going to do this part? So this guy, Jay, goes, Michael, don't worry. We're going to make it work for you. Da, da, da. So I became really good friends with Jay. I said, Jay, please, I'm scared to death. So what we did was we figured out a way to get me in this little crease in the tree where I'm kind of leaning against the side, and I don't have to hang. So that's how we finished, rehearsing, and that's how we were going to do the scene. So cut and paste a week later, I go back to LA. I call me back to come back. I go back. They're shooting. The place is packed. People everywhere. I'm like, oh my God. 300, 400, 500 people out there in the streets. And I'm like, oh. So they were preparing my scene right before lunch. I said, Michael, let's do a rehearsal before lunch. Okay. So I go up and do exactly what we did with the stunt rehearsal, which is getting in, get the saw. And I got to pull the saw. I got goggles. I got noise. I got all this stuff going on. It's a lot going on. And you're hanging from a tree. And I'm afraid of heights. So, okay, let's go. Action. So now I'm doing my thing. I've got the goggles. I'm saying the lines, and I'm leaning against the thing. And they go, cut. Michael, what are you doing? He's yelling from underneath. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, what are you doing? I said, well, just leaning in. She goes, you can't lean on a tree. You got to hang off the tree. So now I'm like, oh my God. So now they go, let's break for lunch. So I go in my trailer. I'm petrified there, because I'm afraid of heights. Yeah. And I said, I'm gonna freeze up there. So I'm in my trailer. I'm like, man, I got to figure this out. They're gonna fire me. So I said, I talked myself into it. I'm gonna do it. I talked to Jay. I said, Jay, I'm gonna do it. Just watch me. Go back up. First take. Done. Got it. That's me hanging up there.
Yep.
So what you do is they get you up there. And I do the whole thing, and I'm hanging off the tree. Then they drop you a little bit out of frame. So they drop me out of frame, and then they cut it, right? And then they get me the second way down, which is out of frame. They go to pull it into me, boom.
Yep.
So it was me. Yeah, and Jay did like the middle section. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, you would have never known. I mean, watching it, that you were obviously. I mean, you're playing the role, but because you're kind of having this altercation with Paulie. And he's like, "Hey, you don't work this street no more." And you go, "Yeah? Says who?" And then, yeah.
I don't know if I said that, but I said, you know what I said, right? Says who? Go, you know what I
said. I know I said just one Sopranos question, but I can't, I have to ask
one. Ask me again. Sure.
What was it like working with Paulie Walnuts?
He was great. He was funny. Listen, I'm looking at a guy who's playing, first of all, the show is great. I had worked with Michael before. We worked for 6 months in LA and Texas together, so in Mexico a little bit. So, and I was a fan of the show. And if I think if I was in New York, I probably would have been on the show a lot more. But they were great. Everybody was great on the show. Working with Paul was fun. He was really nice. He is what you think is from that area. He is that, and he does a great job. He doesn't have to do much, and he was a gentleman, and we had some fun together. So, I got memed a few times with that scene. People meme that scene because it's one of named like one of the funniest scenes on Sopranos, which was funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and then there was supposed to be subsequent scenes, episodes where you'll see me at the card game all banged up with but they had something happened with Robert Loggia and I think they had to cut out the episode. So unfortunately, but it was a blast. The good thing is I felt like I was doing honorable work as a landscaper. I wasn't doing what they do, which is being a crook and beating people and doing that. So I didn't mind playing that part so much. But you know how I am with the other stuff is like, But again, when you look at Sopranos for me, just to digress a little bit, I don't think it's about the mob. I think it's about family, and the mob is kind of hanging over it a little bit. So I think it was a brilliant way to lay out that genre. It's just brilliant. What David did is just incredible, and the actors were fantastic, and it was a thrill. It was a thrill, and it's still running today. Every time oh, you're the guy from the thing. Yeah, I'm the guy. The other day, we said, you're the guy. I said, that's me. Yeah. Oh, you're the guy from the Karate Kid. Yeah, that's me. So it's funny.
Well, what it is for me. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, season 5 was 2003. I think it was 2003, maybe 2. And remember, I'm watching Next Karate Kid all the time, during that time. Right. So for me, I was like, oh man, that's Ned. That's Ned right on. I was like, man, that's awesome.
I was working. I was doing pretty good in that time. I had lost my mom and I came back and I did Karate Kid. I did the Last Man Standing. Then I did a lot of things, like a lot of independent films that were fantastic and work, And then I lost my father and I had to leave the business again. It was like crazy. It was just like, so it's very difficult to stay hot in your business if you're always leaving. So Sopranos was after I did something else. So I thought I would get back on the wagon again, and, the wheels fell off again. So, but we're back good now. I think everybody's tranquilo now. We're good. I'm healthy. Thank God. And, we move forward. It is what it is.